Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video with SSJ4 Goku seemingly to be coming out this Friday on Global. We're going to be going through everything that should be coming in his celebration. So as I said the other day, with SSJ4 Goku coming out now and us getting a Heroes in a few weeks, they're going to split the thank you celebration into two, and they've done this before. By the way, on the wiki, this stuff isn't in order, so we're going to have to split it by date. So of course, LR Mega Shenron came out in part 2. He'll probably be coming out beginning or maybe the middle of December. The same with all this stuff here. And then Stage 7 against the Mega in the Shadow Dragon event came out on the 20th of July. So if I had to assume, I mean on Global they can do some rearranging, some shifting around. We could easily see this drop when of course LR Mega Shenron dropped, which is what happened on JP in part 2 of Tanabata. On Global, they could do some shimming around, and we could get Stage 7 of the Shadow Dragon event when Goku drops. I highly doubt it, but again, they could do some shimming around. I mean, if they do it, not only would it be nice, some extra stones, more content to do, but maybe there could be some missions added based around heroes. So if that does happen, could likely we could see some heroes missions for Stage 7 of the Shadow Dragon event. But who knows? Carrying on, we have some side EZAs as well, which again, these will probably be in part 2 as well. Baby will also be in part 2. As you can see, he came out on the 8th of the 8th. So that would be like back end of December, middle of December, maybe even breaching into January. All the part 2 stuff will definitely be coming out in December at some point, going into January. And then everything kind of before the 20th is probably going to be dropping with SSJ4 Goku during his part of the celebration, and of course going into Heroes. So login bonus will be there, missions will be there. Horanga stuff we will get, I think. Again, they could do some shimmying. We could have it with Goku. We could have it in what would essentially be part 2 in December. Again, it all depends if Global wants to do some shimming around or not. And then we're up to the Dokkan Fest banner, which I have to say is probably one of the more stronger thank you celebration banners and Tanabata banners we've seen. You know, we've got SSJ4 GOKU'S, one of the strongest units in the game. I mean, he's got everything going for him. Card art, character hype, animations, how good he actually is. You have Trunks and Vegeta. Yes, they've aged, but I still never understand the slander they get. They're still very good. I'll definitely be very happy to get some dupes in them. These two have got on a bit. I mean, hopefully these two are up for an EZA at some point soon. But then Gamma 1 and Gamma 2, still two very strong units, even though they have aged at this point. Then there's Dokkan Fest Pan, EZA Full Power SSJ4 Goku, and the INT SSJ4 Gogeta. So, still not outstanding with value, but definitely one of the more value for banners we've seen for Thank You Celebration and Tanabata. Mainly because of the Gammas and LR, Vegeta and Trunks. What I will say though, one thing with the Thank You Celebration banner is the unfortunate side, even though there's always an amazing Dokkan Fest and some good units on it, there is 10 featured units in total, including the Goku and the new side banner Baby. So it will be a little bit more difficult to pull exactly what you want. But in terms of Goku's kit, he will lead GT Heroes and full power with the 170 lead, then give the additional HP and attack and defense plus 30%. To pure and hybrid Saiyans. So a pretty solid 200% lead, even a very strong 170 lead with the GT Heroes portion. On 12 key super, he is raising defense by 30% for one turn, causing colossal damage to the enemy and greatly lowering attack. On 18 key, he's raising defense by 30% for 4 turns, so he is mini stacking and causing mega colossal damage to the enemy. On his passive, he'll start with key plus 3 and attack and defense plus 150, gain an additional key plus 1 per key sphere obtained, which of course is going to help you hit the 18 key a lot more consistently. Then he'll gain an additional attack plus 70% and have a 50% chance for critical hit when performing a super attack. And this is nice, just having crit built in on a unit that already does pretty good damage nonetheless. Then having a 50% chance crit just built in, it does mean Goku can do some pretty nice damage to some of these tougher enemies in the game. He then also gains an additional attack plus 70% within the same turn and defense plus 70% for 3 turns after evading an attack or receiving an attack, and then gains damage reduction by 20%, then an additional defense plus 70% and damage reduction by 20% as the first attacker in a turn. So as long as Goku's in slot 1, he'll have all of this and then gain this with the 20% damage reduction he already has as long as he's in slot 1, while also raising his defense by 30% for 4 turns as well. So a very nice slot 1 unit, works really well with the Year 8 SSJ4 Vegeta and GT Goku, and also gives a new lease of life into the Year 7 LSSJ4s, who also still kind of hold their own, especially if you have dupes. Yes, they can be a little bit vulnerable nowadays, naturally being just over a year old, but it does give them a new lease of life and does give them a bit more longevity. By the way, if you are wondering with the whole they gain the defense plus 70% for 3 turns after dodging, I know he doesn't have any built-in dodge. Of course, you can get it by also being hit, but naturally as an int unit having 5 dodge, if he does decide to dodge and that does trigger and you do get lucky for it to trigger, you can also gain the extra defense through that method as well, as long with being hit. Then we have his standby, which he'll switch for 4 turns and he'll gain 2 charge counters per int or rainbow key sphere obtained for all allies, and 1 charge counter per type key sphere obtained, int excluded. So it's actually not too difficult to build it up. And then when he switches into Oob, not only do you have some great animations, and probably, to me anyway, in my opinion, one of the best OSTs in the game. And I don't really listen to OSTs that much, so for me to admit it slaps that hard, it slaps. But Oob ends up becoming an absolute defensive powerhouse that is just untouchable. And you can activate the standby after receiving 5 or more attacks during battle, 1 time only, which is honestly piss easy when you consider how many times you're being hit in the likes of red zone, AoEs. You could get this so quickly, so easily. His link set is Super Saiyan, Shocking Speed, GT, Prepared for Battle, Saiyan Raw, Fierce Battle, Legendary Power. Really easy to link, really easy to link, and a ton of great categories. Pure Saiyans, Full Power, Transformation Boost, Goku's Family, Kamehameha, All Out Struggle, Giant 8 Power, Connected Hope, Turtle School, Miraculous Awakening, GT Heroes, Bond of Friendship, Accelerate Battle, Entrusted Will, Battle of Fate, Power Beyond a Super Saiyan, Bond of Parent Child, Earthbred Fighters, and Power of Wishes. Then we have the standby into Oob, where Oob will have 300% defense and damage reduction by 10% per keys for obtains, and will also guard all attacks with 3 or more type keys for obtains for 1 turn from the start of turn. So that 1 turn, basically untouchable. All allies will gain key plus 3 and defense plus 70% for 2 turns from the start of turn, and also randomly change 1 key spheres of certain type to int key spheres, and will nullify unarmed super attacks directed at the character. So as I said, Oob is pretty much a defensive powerhouse once you do the standby, and then you'll get finish attack 1, where this is if you don't get your charge counter to where you need it to, where you will switch back into SSJ4 Goku, but you won't transform into full power SSJ4 Goku. However, it's not all doom and gloom. You'll still recover 30% HP and key plus 3 for 3 turns. So even if you do miss out and don't get the full power SSJ4 Goku transformation, you still actually get a slight benefit. And this can be activated when your charge counter is 29 or less. And then for finish attack 2, you will evolve into full power SSJ4 Goku. And this can be activated when charge count is 30 or more. Oob will gain the solid support link, Tough as Nails, Fuse Fighters, after he does switch into the standby. Then when you transform into full power SSJ4 Goku on 12 key, he'll raise attack and defense by 30%, cause colossal damage to the enemy, and greatly lowers attack. On 18 key, he'll greatly raise attack by 50% for 1 turn, and continuing raising his defense by 30% for 4 turns, causing mega colossal damage to the enemy as well. After you transform into full power SSJ4 Goku from the standby, he'll recover 77% HP, which is very nice. He'll guard all attacks for 1 turn and perform a critical hit for 3 turns from the start of turn. So again, 1 turn of pretty much, I don't want to say indestructible, but very strong defensively for 1 turn. And for 3 turns, we'll have a guaranteed crit, which means Goku's going to be doing some big damage. He'll then start with key plus 7 and attack and defense plus 200%, and then gain key plus 2 per int or rainbow key sphere obtained, and then gain an additional key plus 1 per type key sphere obtained, int excluded, and then gain an additional attack plus 150% on super, and have a 70% chance for a critical hit if it is an ultra super attack, which this mainly only matters after he loses the guaranteed crit for 3 turns. He'll then gain an additional attack plus 59% and perform a critical hit when ki is 24. And then gain an additional attack plus 59% and perform a critical hit. No. Just almost reread the same bit. Plus an additional defense plus 77% for 5 turns after evading an attack or receiving an attack. Again, int unit with 5 dodge. That's one way to get it, or just being hit, which is naturally going to happen in difficult content. He'll then have damage reduction by 25% now, and then get defense plus 77% and have damage reduction by 25% as the first attacker on the turn. So a very, very strong, versatile unit in general, but even more so, like on steroids, once he gets into full power SSJ4 Goku. I think my only... it's not even a dislike. My only thing with this unit is why he has so many crit outlets. Like, this is guaranteed, that's fine. Then he has a 70% chance to do it, and then he has a guaranteed crit on 24. Like, if he didn't have the guaranteed crit for 3 turns, this would have been fine. But because he does, I feel like, give him a built-in additional. Give him like a 50% chance of an additional super, if he was going to have this, and then have a crit, like, a 70% chance of doing so. But like, that just would have been a little bit better, but he's still an amazing unit nonetheless. Then we have the side banner Baby, who will sub-lead Revenge or Inhuman Deeds. On super attack, he'll greatly raise attack and defense by 50%, causing supreme damage to the enemy. He'll start with ki plus 3 and attack and defense plus 150%, then gain an additional attack and defense plus 100% when performing a super attack, then gain an additional defense plus 100%, and attacks are guaranteed to hit. He'll perform a guaranteed critical hit and stuns the attacked enemy when there is a pure or hybrid Saiyans category enemy. It makes sense why he has that as a restriction or a condition. However, when it comes to the more meaningful difficult content, there are no pure... Well, actually there is. There's Broly and there's Turles. But for like the meaningful top enemies in the game, they aren't pure or hybrid Saiyan enemies, unfortunately. You'll then gain an additional ki plus 3 and attack plus 180 when there's a pure Saiyans category enemy. And gain an additional ki plus 3 and attack plus 180 when there's a hybrid Saiyan category enemy. So in no way, shape or form is this guy going anywhere near the likes of Red Zone. I mean, he doesn't really have a spot on any of the teams. His best bet would have been helping out GT bosses, which he doesn't. So that category is still mudded. But I mean, any ESBR Super Battle Road stages that come out where you're facing pure hybrid Saiyans, this baby will generally do some damage and actually work really well there. His link sets Metamorphosis, Coward, Big Bad Bosses, Thirst for Conquest, GT, Hatred of Saiyans, Fierce Battle. He goes on Transformation Boost, Artificial Life Forms, Terrifying Conquerors, Target Goku, Revenge, Inhuman Deeds, Space Traveling Warriors, and GT bosses. So moving on to the remainder of the celebration, we have the Tanabata Dokkan Fest, which on Global will be the Thank You Dokkan Fest. This came out on the 7th of July for JP. So maybe we'll get this in part 1. We might do. I think we might. I think it's likely we do. We could see it in part 2, but I think we'll get it in part 1. I know a lot of people go crazy for this banner, and I get why, but also it's just not worth it. It's not worth summoning on this banner. I know there's a lot of great featured units. You know, you have the 2 new Dokkan Fest and side banner unit. You have the Erates, Trunks and Vegeta are here. That's nice. However, for essentially 2 added units, basically both the 8th anniversary units, you still have these 2 from the actual Thank You Celebration banner. Then you have all of these units as well. So it's even more difficult to pull exactly what you're looking for. So yes, there is more value. It's even more difficult to get the valuable units you're after. If you don't have the 8 units, just like me, just pick them up with coins. If you have enough coins, pick them up with coins, or just wait until they come back another time. Maybe pull them from summoning then, or pull them with coins then as well. It's just not worth summoning on this banner. Like, yes, there's more value like overall, but there's also even more like non-value units as well overall. It makes it even more difficult to pull the units you're looking for. So of course we have super sales. You have a 77 character selection which came on the 29th, so we actually would potentially get this on Global as well. And you get this from the Porunga Wishes. It's not, you know, you weren't going to get the best units from this, but I mean, any units you could be missing from this you need, just pick them up. You know, if you do have all of them, if you need dupes in some of these still, just pick up the ones you don't have. I mean, if we actually kind of went through these, do any of these units kind of have value? I mean, he's still pretty good where you can use him. Who else do we have? Yeah, there's not many as that. I mean, Chinembu's not bad, I guess. Oh, this Inzamasu's great. If you don't have him or don't have dupes or don't have many dupes, definitely get him. He is a shout. He's a must. This Trunks is also pretty good. Love him. I mean, yeah, your best bet is actually the Zamasu and the Trunks with their recent EZAs. They're very, very good. Again, if you just have all of them, just pick up what you don't have. You have the Dokkan event, the category summons. If you do spend money on the game, even a little bit or loads, again, we're getting a step up Dragonstone sale to get the keys to the past, which of course is good for link leveling. Decent little bundle for you to pick up. We should be getting the support memory boost as well. Definitely be completing that. In terms of boss rush, we actually should be getting this with Goku as well. Returning easy areas, story modes. And in terms of Clash, we should also get Clash. And then we have this event here, which is new special edition event, which you can't actually click on, which is really annoying. That doesn't matter. Basically, what this event is you clear each stage. I'm pretty sure each stage represents a different type. And it's like the Freezer Soldier event, where you basically go in, do as much damage as possible, and you just basically earn loads of stones from all the different missions. So just make sure you're grinding that. It's easy to forget and easy to miss, but just do it. It's easy stones. Then we have the EZA for Beerus, which should be coming in part 1. I say part 1, but with LRSSJ4 Goku, considering it did drop on the 4th, the very beginning of July. So we should get that when Goku drops in a few days. And his EZA is pretty good. He will 170 lead for Exploding Rage of Realm of Gods. He will stack attack by 30%, cause immense damage to the enemy and greatly lower attack and defense. He'll get attack plus 50% and defense plus 200%, then gain an attack plus 150% when performing a super attack. He'll have damage reduction by 40% with 3 or more key spheres obtained, which 3 key spheres really isn't that difficult to get. Really isn't. Then he'll have damage reduction by 30% before attacking with 7 or more key spheres obtained. So if you can get him all the key spheres he needs, which 7 is a little bit more on the excessive side, not excessive, but you know, you need quite a lot of key spheres, he will have a full 70% damage reduction though, while stacking and continuously getting stronger. So Beerus is actually very good already. We're not even done yet. He'll also gain an additional attack and defense plus 150 within the same turn after receiving an attack. Don't forget damage reduction. The more damage reduction you have, the less damage you're going to take to get that extra 150. He'll randomly change key spheres of a certain type to rainbow key spheres, and attacks are effective against all types when there is a Realm of Gods category enemy. Now, with Fusion's Masu being the strongest enemy in the game, this is actually quite beneficial to him. Other than that, outside of that, you're probably not going to get it too often. Doesn't really matter too much, but it is nice to have it. Then on his active, he'll get attack and defense plus 50%, and attacks are effective against all types and guaranteed to hit for 1 turn. The condition, of course, wouldn't have changed. It is 70% or less, which actually isn't too bad, and nor is having it from the 4th turn. But overall, Beerus' EZA is very nice. The only thing is, while he is a very good EZA, of course, his best linking partners are the side EZA Whis and also the EZA LR Beerus and Whis. Now, Beerus and Whis is still pretty good. It's just you don't have many outlets to run this Beerus with, aside from like those handful of units, and the best one is being Beerus and Whis, and also having the best setup for them, because one of the few 200% leads this guy will have is like, what is it, the Year 8 Carnival Kid Gohan lead, and there's another lead who I can't remember off the top of my head, but there isn't just too many places where you can run this guy, but he is very good if you do basically have all the tools to run him at his best. But moving on, I can't imagine we have too much left to go through the celebration. I mean, we have another category summon. JP did get the LR Super Saiyan God Goku EZA, which of course Global got months and months ago. I don't see them replacing this with anything, especially with Goku coming out now and what would have been part 2 basically coming in December. I just essentially would say, since we've already got this is just gone, and there's nothing to replace it, which is usually what Global does. There'll be another stage of Infinite Dragon Ball history, which we'll probably get with Goku. I mean, maybe it might go into like part 2 in December, or what essentially is part 2. The same with the SBR stage. And then most likely as well, we could see the chain battle be put into December as well. But again, we could also get it in part 1. This is only going to be a 2-week celebration, but we should get the chain battle. We should get Infinite Dragon Ball history and SBR. In terms of the rest of the things, the rest of this, I see coming in December. I mean, they could easily do some global rearranging, some global shuffling, and put this in a few days as well with global. But with this being in the 20th of July, I see that also coming out in December as well. And the same with Patan Battle. But as I said, this is global. They can easily just shuffle things around, rearrange things, make some things come early, like Stage 7 of the Shadow Dragon event, all the other content, or move some other stuff and have it come in December. But that is probably everything we're going to get when LRSSJ4 Goku gets. That is his full entire celebration, but as I said, it will be cut in half, considering he's going to be around for about 2 weeks. And then, of course, we have Heroes, and then what would have been part 2 with the Tanabata Thank You celebration will be in December when LR Omega Shenron drops. I really do hope Stage 7 does drop with Goku, so we have it to do and I can make content around it. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. But do let me know down in the comments if you'll be summoning an LRSSJ4 Goku. I do imagine a lot of you probably will be, but I know a lot of you also probably want to save as much stones for your Dragon Ball Heroes funds as possible. But do let me know. While you're there, drop a like, subscribe if you're new. All the support is very much appreciated. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Take care, have a good rest of your day, and peace.